My name is Marissa Chen, and from wherever you're listening, let me ask you something. Have you ever returned home only to find out they never expected you to come back? Not just physically, I mean emotionally, mentally. Like they had already erased you from the frame. It was a Thursday, late spring in Los Angeles. The air still held a touch of ocean salt and jasmine from someone's garden. And I had just landed after a 13-hour flight from Lisbon, dragging 2 suitcases and a head full of poems. My sabbatical was over. 6 months of ocean mornings, espresso afternoons, and no one calling me too sensitive. I was sun-kissed, sleep-deprived, and clinging to one last hope. That home, my home, would still feel like mine. I walked up the familiar stairwell of my Westwood apartment building, key in hand, already picturing my bathtub, my linen sheets, my lavender candle waiting patiently by the window. I turned the key, pushed the door open, and stopped. There were balloons everywhere, pink, metallic, floating against my ceiling like sugary threats. A toddler ran between my legs, screaming. A woman I'd never seen handed me a deviled egg. Someone laughed. Someone shouted. My favorite mug, the one with the tiny chip from Barcelona, was in the hands of a stranger. Full of punch, my bookshelves were gone, my plants were withered. My ceramic bowls were being used as dip trays. It looked like a party hall. No, it looked like I had died and they had decided to celebrate without telling me. And then I saw her. My sister, Valerie, 7 months pregnant, barefoot, lounging on my ivory couch like it was a throne, opening gifts. Smiling like this was exactly where she belonged. She looked up and blinked once. "Oh," she said, like someone bumping into a high school acquaintance. "You're back? I thought you extended your trip." No welcome home. No sorry. Just surprise. And mild annoyance, like I'd interrupted her show. My mouth didn't move, but my eyes wandered. To the wall where my art prints used to hang. To the empty space where my reading lamp stood. To the hallway where my bedroom waited or didn't. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. My mother, in pearls and pressed linen. With that same soft smile she always wore when doing something cruel, she didn't say hello. She just handed me her coat and whispered, "Don't make a scene. Just help serve, okay? Don't ruin Valerie's day." And that was the moment it hit me. I was no longer the daughter, no longer the sister, not even the tenant. I was the staff, in my own apartment. I didn't yell, didn't demand an explanation, didn't even whisper the word why. I turned, walked past the giggles, the balloons, the camera flashes, down the hallway that once smelled of sandalwood and ink, to my bedroom. Or what used to be my bedroom. The sheets were gone. My books boxed up and labeled MISC. My vision board, torn in half. A pile of unopened diapers stood where my desk used to be. A hand-painted bookmark I'd made in high school lay crumpled beneath a stack of baby shower gift bags. And in the corner, one of my journals. Its spine bent, its cover marked with a sticky note, in my sister's handwriting. It said, "Toss." I sat on the edge of the bed frame. No mattress, just wood, cold and hollow, like I'd never lived here at all. Behind the door I heard laughter. Someone shouted, "She's glowing." Someone else popped a bottle of something bubbly. There was toasting. To a new life, while mine was being quietly, casually erased. Still, I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't storm into the living room and make a scene they could use to justify the story they'd already written about me. That night after they left, I stood in the middle of the living room. The floor was sticky. The air was heavy with baby lotion, perfume, and something I couldn't quite name, something sour. I took off my shoes, opened the windows, and changed the locks. I didn't text them, didn't announce anything, didn't make it a performance. I just reclaimed what had been mine all along. Silently, permanently. 2 days later, they came back. I heard them before I saw them. Muffled voices rising into the hallway, a sharp knock, then another, then pounding. I didn't move, not toward the door, not toward the sound. I stood in the kitchen, slowly slicing an orange. Let the juice drip down my fingers, let them bang. Then came the voices. "Marissa, open up. It's Mom. This is ridiculous. We need to get Valerie's things. You're making a scene." I stepped closer to the peephole, and there they were. My mother, clutching a casserole dish like it was an olive branch. Her pearls were the same ones from the party. Valerie leaned against the wall, fanning herself like a fragile heroine. Her fiancé kept rubbing her back with one hand and checking his phone with the other. They weren't sad. They were annoyed. Like tenants locked out of a vacation rental, like I was the inconvenience. I didn't open the door. Instead, I poured jasmine tea into my favorite chipped mug, the one they hadn't managed to throw away, and I sat by the window, watching the light shift across the skyline, letting them sit in the hallway with their frustration and their expectations. Eventually, the knocking stopped, but the phone didn't. It lit up like a panic switch. 37 messages in the family group chat. Valerie, where's Mom's purse? Mom, I raised you better than this. Uncle Rob, you're overreacting. Cousin Layla, are you okay? Valerie again, you know she's pregnant, right? Mom again, shame on you. Final one, we didn't think you'd mind. I didn't reply, because I did mind. I minded that they thought I was replaceable, that my home was optional, that my silence had been mistaken for consent. That night, I took everything they'd left behind, the diaper cakes, the plastic champagne flutes, the unopened bags of party favors. I boxed them up, neatly, carefully, and placed them in the hallway. Then I sent one message, just one. The apartment is no longer available for use. Please collect your items from the hallway. Do not re-enter. I'm serious. And that was it. No curse words, no paragraph-long explanations, just a new boundary. Quiet, clear, unshakable, they didn't reply, not in words. But the next morning, my building manager texted me, "Hey, just a heads up. Some folks were loitering outside your door last night. Thought you should know. I checked the hallway camera feed, and there they were again. Mom, Valerie, him, sitting cross-legged on the floor, whispering, waiting. But I wasn't the one being waited on anymore. That night I slept soundly. No footsteps outside my door, no whispers through the wall, just stillness. By morning, I was ready. I pulled out the envelope from the back of my closet. It had stayed sealed for almost 5 years. My father's handwriting still sharp across the front. To Marissa, for when you finally choose yourself. Inside was a cashier's check. $48,000, my share of the inheritance. My mother had scoffed at it when it was given to me. She said I wouldn't know how to use it wisely, that I'd blow it on travel or some apartment with a view. She said responsibility looked different on people like Valerie, so I had kept it. Unspent, untouched, until now. I called a realtor, booked a showing, and by noon I was walking through the unit right below mine. Same building, same skyline, but bigger, 3 bedrooms, 2 entrances, a place with walls I could trust. It was listed slightly above my budget, but with the check and a little from savings, it would be mine. Fully. Within 48 hours, I signed the papers. No announcement, no ribbon, just a quiet signature on a line they never thought I'd reach. Then I made one more call. To a staging company, luxury, discreet, full service. I had them redesign the apartment upstairs, the one they had invaded. The nursery was transformed into a study. The living room, sleek, quiet, adult, velvet chairs, clean lines. Fresh orchids on the table. I took photos, posted them online, captioned simply, "She reclaimed her space and never looked back." No tags, no location, but I knew they'd see it, especially my mother, who follows me under a fake Instagram name that she thinks I don't know. It took 40 minutes for her to text me. "So you're renting it out. After everything we did for you." A minute later from Valerie. "You're seriously profiting off the space we made beautiful?" I left both on read, because I wasn't done. The next morning, I gathered everything they had left behind. The baby swing, the unopened gifts. Even the balloon arch they claimed cost hundreds. I donated it all to a local women's shelter, then emailed the tax receipt to my mother. Subject line, "In your name," that silence was the real gift. No more banging, no more guilt. Just a vacancy where their control used to be. 2 weeks later, I hosted a small housewarming, 15 people. Wine, jazz, no one asking me to make myself smaller. Midway through the night, the doorman texted me, "Hey, "Your mom and sister are here. They said they're invited." I replied, "They're not. He didn't let them up." I toasted to the skyline, to the woman I had become, to the silence I had earned. 3 days passed, then came the envelope. No return address, fake legal language, a demand to return Daniel's family belongings. Items I had already donated weeks ago. It didn't even sting. I just forwarded it to my lawyer, who had already helped me set up the LLC. My rental unit was now a business, legally protected, financially distanced from my name. Their ghosts couldn't reach me anymore, but I had one thing left. The guest book, the one from the baby shower. Pages filled with hollow congratulations. I had it rebound, black leather, heavy. On the inside cover I wrote, "For every time you tried to erase me from my own life, here is a keepsake of the last day you ever succeeded." I left it on my mother's porch. No note, no knock, just a final offering to a closed chapter. Later, my building manager waved me down. She came again. She stood there with that book. Didn't say a word, just stared into the camera, then turned around and walked away. That night, I stood on my balcony. The city beneath me flickered like quiet applause. No captions, no updates, just peace. People always say closure is a conversation, a moment where they finally see your side, apologize, change, but I've learned something far simpler. Far colder, far more honest. Closure isn't granted, it's claimed. Sometimes, you build it from the very bricks they threw at you.